Okay, continuing with the motor mount, you'll see we have the motor and the drive wheel in now. The holes are drilled where I pointed them out in the last video. Now, also with your kit, there are 4 flat washers. You need all 4 for the simple reason that the screws are just a little bit too long for the depth of the holes that the motor screw, the tapped holes in the motor are, and the washers take up some space. They also are there to keep this spring movable without hitting the top of the motor. Because if it hits the top of the motor, it can tend to vibrate and it'll be a little noisy. But now the 4 washers need to go under the motor board, not on top of the motor board. If you put them on top of here, the motor will be lifted up higher and it'll cause this spring to be pushed up, and that causes a rattle. So you'll see under here, all 4 washers are underneath the motor. Right there, there's 2 on that hole and 2 on that hole. The first 2 are easy. The second 2, the way I do it is I hold the thing upside down with my finger on the screw and then drop the motor into position, and then while it's just semi-tight, I come up to the top and I turn the motor and drop the two washers, one on top of each other, drop them right on top of the motor right there. Let me get my little pointer here. Drop them right on to this point right here, and then slide them underneath. Slide them this way till they're lined up with a hole, and that the hole in the motor lines up with the hole you drilled in the motor board. Drop the screw in and tighten it down. Once again, don't put the washers on the top. It won't do you any good. You put them between the top of the motor and the underside of the motor board. And that's it for mounting the motor. And next we'll go into the you can also turn it. Also, once you get it in place, turn it and make sure. And if you have to have a good drive wheel, and the drive wheel should engage the motor easily. The spring should be right there. It should be free to move. And while you have this apart, of course, you're also going to be dropping some screws down into here. We're going to cover that with the next video. But make sure everything's very free to move. This is your trip lever. These always rust and freeze. Make sure that the piston, if you have one, if it has the one, the damping piston is free to move. Make sure all your levers, make sure all the levers move. Make sure the cycle spider moves. And make sure everything's free to go. And that's it. Okay, we'll continue this in a bit.